District Attorney Patricia Johnson had prosecuted hundreds of discrimination cases, but she'd never been falsely accused of theft while buying groceries for her family. When the manager at Premium Foods decided she looked like a shoplifter, he had no idea he was about to become a case study in racial profiling.
Don't forget to subscribe, leave a like, and a comment before we start to learn more about what happened.
Premium Foods Market stood as the crown jewel of Westfield's upscale shopping district. Its wide aisles, imported products, and carefully curated selection attracting the suburb's most affluent residents. The store prided itself on maintaining an atmosphere of exclusivity, with prices and presentation that clearly communicated this wasn't an ordinary grocery chain. District Attorney Patricia Johnson pulled into the Premium Foods parking lot at 4:30 p.m. on a busy Thursday afternoon. At 43, Patricia had built a distinguished career in criminal law, earning respect throughout the state for her tough stance on corruption and her commitment to civil rights prosecution. She had been elected district attorney 3 years earlier, making her the first black woman to hold the position in the county's history. Today, Patricia was simply trying to pick up ingredients for her daughter's birthday dinner. 15-year-old Maya had requested her grandmother's famous red velvet cake recipe, which required several specialty items that could only be found at Premium Foods' extensive baking section. Patricia dressed professionally but casually in dark slacks, a blazer, and comfortable flats. She carried a designer handbag, a gift from her husband for their anniversary, and moved through the store with the confident demeanor of someone accustomed to being in charge. Kevin Walsh, the 35-year-old store manager, had been with Premium Foods for 6 years, working his way up from assistant manager through dedication to what he considered the store's standards. Kevin took particular pride in loss prevention, maintaining one of the lowest shrinkage rates in the chain through what he called proactive customer observation. From his office overlooking the main sales floor, Kevin noticed Patricia immediately, a black woman shopping alone in the afternoon, carrying an expensive purse, moving deliberately through the store's premium sections. To Kevin, this combination of factors triggered immediate suspicion. Kevin had developed what he considered a reliable profile for potential shoplifters, customers who seemed out of place in the store's upscale environment, people who appeared to be studying prices rather than shopping naturally, and individuals whose appearance didn't match the typical Premium Foods demographic. As Patricia moved through the baking aisle, carefully comparing vanilla extract brands and selecting premium chocolate chips, Kevin began following her movements through the store's security camera system. He called his assistant manager, Jenny Martinez, to his office. "Jenny, take a look at camera 7, Kevin said, pointing to his monitor. "See the woman in the baking aisle? I want you to keep an eye on her." Jenny looked at the screen, seeing Patricia reading ingredient labels and checking items against a handwritten shopping list. "She looks like she's just shopping, Kevin. What's the concern?" "Trust me, I've been doing this for 6 years. Something's not right about her. She's taking too much time, looking around too much. And frankly, she doesn't fit our usual customer profile." Jenny felt uncomfortable with Kevin's assessment, but didn't want to challenge her supervisor directly. "What do you want me to do?" "Just watch her. If she heads toward the exit, I want to know immediately." Patricia, unaware she was being observed, continued her shopping. She selected organic flour, real vanilla beans, and cream cheese for the frosting. The specialty items were expensive, but Maya's birthday was worth the extra cost. As Patricia moved toward the produce section to pick up fresh strawberries for decoration, Kevin noticed her pause to check her phone. To him, this looked like suspicious behavior, possibly coordinating with accomplices or checking for security presence. "Jenny, she's acting nervous now. Phone calls, looking around. I'm going down there." Jenny watched as Kevin left his office and began casually walking through the store, positioning himself to observe Patricia directly. She felt increasingly uncomfortable with the situation but wasn't sure how to intervene. Patricia was actually reading a text from her daughter, asking if she could invite 2 extra friends to the birthday dinner. She smiled at her phone, typed back a quick yes, and continued shopping, completely unaware that her simple interaction was being interpreted as criminal behavior. As Patricia approached the checkout area with her basket of baking supplies, Kevin made his move. He positioned himself near the self-checkout stations and waited for her to finish scanning her items. Patricia methodically scanned each item, packed them carefully in her reusable bags, and prepared to pay with her credit card. The total came to $67.43 for the specialty baking ingredients. As Patricia moved toward the exit, Kevin stepped forward. "Excuse me, ma'am. I'm going to need to check your receipt and bags." Patricia turned, surprised by the request. "I'm sorry." "Store policy," Kevin said, though this was not actually standard policy at Premium Foods. "I need to verify your receipt matches your purchases." Patricia looked around and noticed that Kevin hadn't stopped any of the other customers who had left ahead of her. "Is there a specific reason you're checking my receipt?" "Just routine loss prevention," Kevin replied, though his tone suggested otherwise. Patricia handed over her receipt, which clearly listed every item in her bags. Kevin examined it with exaggerated scrutiny, hoping to find some discrepancy. "Ma'am, I'm going to need you to step aside while I verify a few things," Kevin said, despite finding no problems with the receipt. "Verify what exactly?" Patricia asked, her voice remaining calm but firm. "I have reason to believe some items in your bags weren't properly paid for," Kevin said, committing to his accusation without any evidence. Patricia felt the familiar sting of racial profiling, but her prosecutorial training kept her composed. "Mr. Walsh. Kevin Walsh, store manager." "Mr. Walsh, I'd like you to explain exactly what evidence you have that I've stolen anything." Kevin realized he didn't have any actual evidence, but he was too committed to the confrontation to back down. "Ma'am, I don't need to explain our security procedures to you. I'm asking you to cooperate with a simple bag check. And I'm asking you to explain why you've singled me out for this routine check when I observed you allowing multiple other customers to leave without any verification." Other customers had begun to notice the confrontation. Several people stopped to watch, some pulling out phones to record what was happening. Kevin felt pressure to justify his actions. "Ma'am, if you have nothing to hide, this should be very simple. Unless there's a reason you don't want me to check your bags." Patricia realized this was escalating beyond a simple misunderstanding. "Mr. Walsh, I'm going to ask you one more time. What specific evidence do you have that I've committed theft?" "Your behavior has been suspicious from the moment you entered the store," Kevin said, revealing the prejudicial nature of his suspicions. "My behavior?" Patricia asked. "Could you describe what about my behavior seemed suspicious?" Kevin struggled to articulate his concerns without revealing their discriminatory basis. "You were taking a long time, looking around a lot, using your phone." "I was shopping carefully for baking ingredients, reading labels, and responding to a text from my daughter. Are any of those activities illegal?" Jenny Martinez appeared at Kevin's side, clearly uncomfortable with the situation. "Kevin, maybe we should just—" "No," Kevin interrupted. "Ma'am, I'm going to need you to open your purse as well." Patricia's patience finally reached its limit. "Mr. Walsh, I want you to listen very carefully. I am not opening my purse, I am not submitting to any searches, and I am leaving with my legally purchased groceries." "Ma'am, if you try to leave, I'll have to call the police." "Excellent idea," Patricia said calmly. "Please call them immediately." Kevin was taken aback by her response. Most people falsely accused of theft would panic or become defensive. Patricia's calm confidence was unnerving. You want me to call the police?" "Yes, Mr. Walsh." Call them now. While you're on the phone, please tell them you're detaining District Attorney Patricia Johnson on suspicion of shoplifting, despite having no evidence of any crime. Kevin's face went white as the words sank in. District Attorney? Patricia reached into her blazer and pulled out her official identification badge. Patricia Johnson, District Attorney for this county. The same county where your store operates, where I prosecute criminal cases, and where I've recently been focusing on civil rights violations. Jenny Martinez stepped backward, realizing the magnitude of the situation. You want to call the police, Mr. Walsh? Please do. I'd love to explain to my colleagues in law enforcement how I was racially profiled while buying ingredients for my daughter's birthday cake. Kevin stared at the badge, his mind racing through the implications of what he had done. District Attorney Johnson, I didn't know who you were. Mr. Walsh, the issue isn't that you didn't recognize me. The issue is that you accused a customer of theft with no evidence, based solely on racial profiling. A crowd had gathered and several people were recording the interaction on their phones. Ma'am, I made a mistake, Kevin said desperately. I was just trying to protect the store's merchandise. From what, exactly? From a black woman buying baking supplies? Kevin realized that anything he said would only make the situation worse. Patricia addressed the crowd that had gathered. Ladies and gentlemen, I want you to witness what just happened here. I was shopping for my daughter's birthday dinner, paid for my items with a credit card, and was accused of theft by this manager with no evidence whatsoever. She held up her receipt. Every item in these bags is documented on this receipt. The manager didn't stop any white customers for routine bag checks. He targeted me specifically, and when pressed for his reasoning, he cited my suspicious behavior of reading product labels and using my phone. Patricia turned back to Kevin. Mr. Walsh, you've just demonstrated textbook racial profiling. You assumed that a black woman in your store must be stealing something, despite having no evidence to support that assumption. Kevin stood frozen, unable to respond. As district attorney, I prosecute discrimination cases regularly. I know exactly what this is, and I know exactly what my legal options are. Jenny finally found her voice. District Attorney Johnson, on behalf of Premium Foods, I want to apologize. This was unacceptable. Patricia looked at Jenny approvingly. Miss Martinez, Jenny Martinez, Assistant Manager. Ms. Martinez, I appreciate your apology, but this isn't just about an apology. This is about a pattern of discriminatory behavior that needs to be addressed systematically. Patricia pulled out her phone and made a call. Hi, this is Patricia Johnson. I need you to send someone from our Civil Rights Division to Premium Foods Market on Westfield Avenue. We have a situation that requires immediate documentation. She ended the call and addressed Kevin again. Mr. Walsh, in about 15 minutes, investigators from my office will arrive to document this incident. They'll be reviewing your store's security footage, interviewing witnesses, and examining your loss prevention policies. Kevin's supervisor instincts kicked in despite his panic. Ma'am, you don't have the authority to investigate our store. Patricia smiled coldly. Mr. Walsh, I absolutely have the authority to investigate potential civil rights violations, and you just provided me with a textbook example of racial profiling. Within 20 minutes, 2 investigators from the District Attorney's Civil Rights Division arrived at Premium Foods. They interviewed witnesses, reviewed security footage, and documented the entire incident. The investigation revealed that Premium Foods had no written policy requiring receipt checks, that Kevin had never stopped white customers for similar verification, and that his surveillance of Patricia had begun immediately upon her entering the store, before she had done anything that could be considered suspicious. The story made local news that evening. District Attorney falsely accused of shoplifting in racial profiling incident. The footage recorded by customers went viral on social media, with number sign Premium Foods profiling trending locally. Kevin Walsh was terminated the following day. Premium Foods issued a public apology and announced mandatory bias training for all employees. The company also implemented new policies requiring documented evidence before any customer could be detained on suspicion of theft. Patricia used the incident as a teaching moment in her ongoing community education efforts about civil rights. She spoke at schools, community centers, and business organizations about the real-world impact of racial profiling. 6 months later, Patricia returned to Premium Foods to buy ingredients for Maya's 16th birthday. The new manager personally thanked her for helping the store improve its policies and asked if there was anything special they could do for the district attorney. "Just treat every customer with the same respect," Patricia replied. "That's all any of us want." Because sometimes justice isn't just what happens in a courtroom. It's what happens when people have the courage to confront discrimination wherever they find it, and the wisdom to turn a painful experience into positive change for everyone.